Hi guys, in today's video I'll be answering the question that is mainly online. Is daisy chaining really that dangerous? Well, it's not really a question, just people somewhat question what they do. There's a bit of controversy with this type of setup, and I understand people's views. I get where they're coming from, and this is just my view of on this type of setup. So what I have set up here is just regular, nothing special, phone, shaver, lamps, amplifier. I've got another amplifier, but that's not plugged in because I'm servicing it. Another lamp, and that's about it really. So and a charger too, a battery charger. Anyway, right, let's start off with this. So my answer to one of the questions I'd think is this unsafe? And my answer to that is no, it's not. This is not unsafe at all. There's nothing really wrong with this setup. It's not harming anyone. It's not harming things or appliances. And in the event of something does go wrong, the overload protection or circuit breaker should trip. And there are a few circumstances that can be avoided and stuff like that. But for my opinion, the sole purpose of a multi-box is what the first word is, multi. So multi means like many things. Like when you can't plug all of this into one outlet. You need an adapter. So this is what these are. And obviously, I plug more things into them, into this, so I need another adapter. So I just plug it into another multi-box. This setup is safe. There's really nothing wrong with it. And here are my pointers. So when everything's idling, like when chargers aren't plugged in or when everything's just idling, it's less than an amp of current draw when everything's at idle. When things are working, like when chargers, lamps, and stereos are playing, it's about 3 amps. And if you go to the multi-box, max total loading 10 amps, 2400 watts, it's really nothing. It's not even a third of it. Well, yeah, no, it is a third of its power. That's right. It's around a third of its rating. And total surge loading here. So this is working loading, 3 amps, and everything's plugged in and working. Chargers are charging. But when things are fully charged, they're just going to go back to trickle or idle. So that's about less than an amp. Total surge loading. So this is I've got a few appliances that surge. I've got some high load appliances, but I don't use them that often. So like my hair's quite long, naturally. So I have a hairdryer to dry a lot quicker than a conventional towel. And I plug it into this multi-box or this or that one. It doesn't really matter because it takes around 8 amps. But I put 9 amps because when I have all this working and the hairdryer, that totals up to around 9 amps. It's a 2 kilowatt hairdryer, so naturally that's around 8.5 amps, around there, give or take. As it says here, common sense. So, I understand about quality control with manufacturing of these devices. Some quality control is quite poor. I don't know what's inside here. It could be steel, it could be aluminium, it could be anything. Like, usually it should be copper or brass, but who knows? I'm not going to pull it apart. There's no point. And it says surge protected here. How do I know? It's just got a little red LED light that's working. I don't really know if it's surge protected or not. I understand. This is common sense. You got to think about, like, I go into more detail, like quality control. Like, as I said before, what what do I know what's in there? Is it brass? Is it copper? Is it steel, aluminium? So I have like limitations. If I was going to run a 2 kilowatt heater for the whole night, I'd plug it into a PowerPoint, because there's no way, there's nothing should happen because I'm not exceeding the ratings. But that's just a rating. That's just someone writing max total loading 10 amps, 2400 watts. That's just someone stating that. I don't actually know what this is rated for. So I try not to get up to its max total loading. And this is thin or regular appliance cable, 1 millimeter squared. That's rated for 10 amps max. So yeah. And also, what some people think, and that's very few people because not many people are somewhat idiotic, is, oh, I'll pull 10 amps here and I'll pull 10 amps here. What you don't understand is this multi-plug, this 10 amps running through here and 10 amps running through here. So it's going to be 20 amps running through this little white cable, and this is 1 mil. So that's going to be 20 amps. This is double the rated current of that cable. But here's my other pointer. In New Zealand, every multi-box, or I think this, I don't know, but I know in New Zealand, it's compulsory for every multi-box that's produced and that's imported into this country to have some form of overload protection at 10 amps. So when you exceed 10 amps, for some time, this will pop. It's a little circuit breaker, a little thermal cutout. So it's compulsory. And I don't know many people who have multi-boxes that are 20 or 30 years old. So that already cuts it off first. So if I were to pull 20 amps, that would pop very quickly, cutting off the power supply and keeping everything safe. That's what a fuse circuit breaker's for. So that's one of my pointers of how safe this actually is. I've done the calculations, as I said, 1 to 3 amps total working load, surge for 10 minutes, 9 amps. It's not going to hurt anything for 10 minutes having a 2 kilowatt supply running. So I don't really understand why people think this is too unsafe. I do understand, but it doesn't really compute with me because I don't push things like this, like multi-boxes. I'm not a fan of taking them up to their ratings, but I understand. But this is where common sense comes in. If you have a multi-box, if you have a multi-box that's the pins inside are not holding the plug anymore, it's not right. The multi-box is not it's supposed to hold a plug in firmly. If you're just pulling out a plug like that, well, you've got to use a bit of common sense. That's faulty. You shouldn't be using it. And if you plug things in and load it up, there's going to be a bad connection, and that could result in arcing. And arcing can lead to heat, and heat can lead to fires. So you just got to use your head a bit, use a bit of common sense in saying, what am I actually loading? And what am I plugging into the setup? So I've thought about the risks. I've thought about what I'm putting into this multi-box, and it's fine. These multi-boxes, sorry, it's fine. There's nothing wrong. This multi-box is relatively new. This multi-box is around 5-10 years old. But look, it's fine. There's nothing. It's still firm. Like, it takes a bit of force to take this measuring device out. I still think it's fit for purpose. So yes, that's what I think. So if you're thinking of doing this, just use your head. That's all you need to do. Like, if you're going to be plugging in heaters, don't, because it's foolhardy. You're asking for trouble if you're going to be plugging in high load appliances into multi-boxes that are not designed to carry. Like, I wouldn't do that. Like, even though it says max loading 10 amp 2400 watt, that's just some writing. I don't know. So I wouldn't take it up that high. But you can. There's nothing stopping you from doing that. And if the multi-box fails, and you take it up to that high and it fails or something blows up, nothing's stopping you from calling up their consumer or using your local laws to get an insurance claim out of this. But I wouldn't have the time to do that. But it's just common sense, as I said. If your multi-box, if you think your setup is unsafe, and if you think it's going to cause a fire or it's going to be too much for the multi-boxes, then don't use it. Find another source. Don't plug in multi-boxes into multi-boxes if you're going to think it's unsafe. I know this is safe. Here is some weird cases. As I said, in New Zealand, all multi-boxes after the 1990s, or in the 1990s, were required to have a circuit breaker or some form of overload protection. If that fails, that's not good. That can be an insurance claim, but this cable, even though it's rated for 10 amps, it most likely wouldn't melt. If you push it up to 15 or 20 amps, it'd get really hot, but it most likely wouldn't melt. And the breaker in your board would probably blow if you took it up to that high, to those current levels. So yes, if you're thinking about practicing this, I mean by practicing, like enforcing it, like actually carrying out what you're gonna do, jumping multi or daisy chaining, just do calculations. That's all you need to do. And if it exceeds the ratings, or if it starts to get relatively high, like 7, 8, 9 amps, well, that's when you need to start thinking, is this really fit for purpose? What I'm doing, is this safe? So, yeah, as I said, 10 minutes of 9 amps is not going to hurt anything. More like probably 10 days of 9 amps, things may start to get a little bit fiddly and a little bit warm. But nothing should break, because you've got a rating here that's written by the supplier, Arlec, and you can... It's all really, that's what they've stated, so this is what it's capable of. But it is, I said before, I'm repeating myself. I think of where these are made in, and I actually bought this for quite a low price, so I'm thinking of the quality control. If you're going to buy something like a really high quality Belkin multi-box that's $60, $70, well then they bloody should be rated at that, and they should conform to all the standards, and they should be able to take it, and they should be designed better. This is just a cheap bit of brass or copper or I don't know, or whatever, steel or whatever, it's just linking these up inside. It shouldn't be steel though, it should be brass and copper, because that's the best type of conductor you can get for a relatively cheaper price. Gold is, I think it's a good conductor. Anyway, I'm getting out of hand, but this is what you should be looking at, and this is what you should be thinking, am I exceeding, or am I getting close to it? So yes, to answer, is daisy chaining dangerous? Just, as I said, think about what you're doing, what you're plugging into it. If you're going to plug a heater into the multi-box, I wouldn't recommend it. It's not the best. But no, if like this type of stuff, charges and stuff, go for it. Heaters, no. One word that you should try and remember is keep high-load appliances away from multi-boxes. Pardon me. Keep high-load appliances away from multi-boxes. That's what I should say. From experience, because I have loaded up multi-boxes just to see what happens in a controlled manner. And yeah, things did get warm. So that's my word for the day. But yeah, that's about it for this video. So I hope I've answered your questions. If you'd like to ask me a question, just comment it and I'll see if I can reply. But yes, that's about it for this video. So thanks for watching. Stay safe and use some common sense, please. It'd be wonderful for fire risks. Thank you.